Where the hell is Marble Island, I hear you ask? It's off the coast of Queensland, south of Mackay, in that blue box, the Duke Islands. Marble Island is the largest island in the Duke group. After our overnight sail, it was good to see our destination approaching. X marks the spot where we anchored, and Marble Island is very distinctly visible by this large white rocky outcrop called Mackay Island. Marble Island is a privately owned island, and we were invited to come ashore by our friends Craig and Sally, who are the island's managers. After a few hours rest, we dinghied ashore and wandered on up the airstrip to find the homestead. There's our boat sitting in about 5 metres of water. This wasn't actually the best anchorage on the island, but it was the closest to the homestead. It ended up being quite a rolly spot. As we walk along the airstrip, we look back and notice the extent of the low tide. You can see the exposed reef visible there. We also see some of the cattle that are roaming freely. Also, in the rocks along the beach, we can see some white veins of marble showing there, giving the island its name. There's the manager's cottage that we were heading for, and as we get to the end of the airstrip, we're confronted by the extent of the tidal range. Look how low it goes. I'm glad we weren't anchored out there. I don't know why I wasn't videoing at this point, but there's the beautiful Sally with dog Striker and some of the cattle, and Craig with Don. After a few drinks, we decided to take a tour of the island in the ute.
Views?
Yeah, some good spots. The first couple of times we drove around took so long we just stopped. And we had an esky full of beer the first time. Oh, this looks like a good spot for a beer.
Then you kept finding better spots.
Yeah, 8 hours later we're still going.
Beautiful views. Craig was a wealth of information about Marble Island, the history, the cattle, and also about the deer that roamed there. There are 4 different breeds of deer currently on the island. There's Samba, Rusa, Chittle and Fallow, and there's also some black buck antelope. And the antelope don't seem to like playing with the deer, which of course contradicts the song Home on the Range, where the deer and the antelope play. They might play, but they don't play together.
because the whiting that they caught were as big as beer bottles. So
let's call it Beer Bottle Beach.
Goes, yeah.
Nice are they pandanus? We were looking for some deer, so a good spot to find them is under the shady trees. It's a nice little open paddock, isn't it?
Yeah, this is soaked paddock. That was soaked mix back there.
So this would just all soak with water.
Yeah, there's a ball just tucked in here on that side. Crystal, absolutely crystal, and full.
Wow.
And was full.
It's a great spot, isn't it?
He's got a girl. Yeah, he's got a girl with him. That's why he's running.
Thought he had her all to himself in private, did he?
Spoiled his father.
Yeah, that'd be right.
Yeah, so this, they spend a lot of cattle and spend a lot of time.
Yes, that's where I'd be spending time. Especially with the trees there for shade, and it's protected in this sort of ditch, isn't it?
Yeah, there's about probably half a dozen places like this around the island.
Okay.
Yeah. Some are. There's two that are really nice, but they're inaccessible and it's by vehicle, and the walk is quite hard.
And lots of little swallows. What are those bigger birds over there?
Crows.
Crows, oh yeah. Beautiful little gully.
Dam that gets pumped by solar up to the house. Feeds the water troughs.
Yep. John and Sally are busy looking through the binoculars for deer, while Craig fixes the cattle fly dip thingy. Oh, Striker's having fun. Go Striker. You get that. Oh, what we do roll the cow food. Ah yes, the Simpsons classic. I know you're all thinking it. The scenery was beautiful on Marble Island. It was really diverse with lots of hills and valleys, rocky outcrops, as well as soft green paddocks. We really enjoyed our tour. As we came up over the rise, we could see below a herd of deer scuttling for shelter. We decided to drive down and take a closer look. You'll see here all the deer grouped together, while the antelope is by his lonesome. I don't know where the antelope's buddies were. They're hiding out on the island somewhere. I was really quite fascinated by the whole antler thing. So the buck sheds the antler once a year, usually around winter, and they grow it back. So they're growing, actually it's a bone formation that they're producing, which is fed by blood going up the exterior of the bone through the velvet. It's quite complex, and when the antler is shed, the buck shuts off the blood flow to the antler, and then over time it drops off. Now they're only dropped off one at a time, not both together, and usually within a 24-hour period. So the whole thing is quite fascinating. Antelope, on the other hand, have horns, and these are not shed. These just continue to grow throughout the animal's life. Actually, I did find a YouTube clip with a deer shedding its antler as a pair, which is quite fascinating. The poor thing looked quite startled. I'll attach a link to in the description below for you to check out if you're interested. It's worth a look. Craig spotted an antler on the ground, and we had a quick look around but couldn't find the matching one. But it was nice to see a freshly shed antler up close. So what type of deer is this one off?
That's off a rusa.
A rusa.
2-year-old.
And how often do they shed them?
Every year.
Oh, every year?
Yep. And they get better and better and better for about 10 years.
Yep.
And then they start going backwards.
Okay. Beautiful little beach.
Fisherman's ropes, which are too hard for me to move.
Oh, right, they get very heavy. We stopped to explore one of the small beaches. Craig and Sally are often scouting the beaches and collecting bits of plastic and any other forms of rubbish that they find. So that's a stockpile of Sally's previously collected rubbish. She goes along the beach quite regularly, picks up any plastic pieces she finds, puts it in a pile, and then when the pile gets big enough, she'll gather and dispose of it. There's quite a few different beaches around the island, and each one seems to be unique for collecting its own thing. Like this beach here has a lot of pumice stone and driftwood and plastic, whereas some of the other beaches there's a lot of sponges, like at Sponge Beach, or other beaches that don't attract any plastic at all. Just depends on the aspect and the tide, I guess. Once you get down and start looking closely at what's in the seaweed and between the sand, you do see lots of very small particles of plastic, particularly blue. And then we find out that the main source of rubbish there is blue lids off water bottles. So that's interesting to note. She's collected off the beach. What have you got today, Sally?
More rubbish.
And it looks like a toilet cleaner in there.
I do.
Toilet brush, nice.
Plastic bottles.
Plastic bottles, lids are the worst apparently. Tons and tons of lids.
And a pocket full of lids.
Pocket full of lids.
Oh, there's your phone, Kristen.
If only it were true. I'll be keeping an eye out for my thong as we head north. Yes, I've got a nice Havaiana one.
Oh, good.
So keep an eye out.
Fungal stuff.
So there's a caterpillar that eats them.
It's called cactoblastus. It's a moth and it lays its egg in the caterpillar. It's called cactoblastus.
A fun fact, people, about the cactoblastus worm is that it was introduced into Australia in 1926. Within 10 years, it had managed to devour 11 million hectares of prickly pear. Quite amazing. Don't ask me what eats the worm.
And of course the animals, it sticks to their legs, the deers and the cattle.
Yes.
Spread it.
It seemed that over every new rise there'd be another beautiful bay, more beautiful than the last. So there's a map, and in orange is the track that we went on our tour today. Oh, see the butterflies. There'll be more. Oop. Cattle crossing ahead. Cattle crossing. We were working up quite a thirst with the island tour, so we dropped into the homestead, picked up some refreshments and headed up to what is locally known as the Top Pub. I keep thinking I'm going to see a wallaby or something.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden I realised that's what it is.
Yeah, no wallabies here. You just hang on to that beer, darling. Yes, so another fun fact about the island is that there are no wallabies, rabbits, kangaroos, wombats, snakes, wild cats, or any other animals that you might expect to see in the Australian bush. None at all. Oh my goodness, look at that. It really was a jaw-dropping moment coming up over that rise and looking out below. Spectacular. We're looking out over the Lola Mendez Passage, and as you can see, the tidal race is very strong. It was cold and windy, but you have to remember it was the middle of winter after all. We do plan on heading back there on our way south, which will probably be around springtime, so I'm sure we'll have another pleasant experience at the top pub. The wind was absolutely howling on top of the point. In fact, it was blowing the cheese off our crackers. But in the end, we were rewarded with a beautiful sunset after all. Join us for our next episode as we continue to explore Marble Island. We ride out some bad weather. I start making my sign to leave at the Percy Hilton, and we explore Sally's rock pools. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on the YouTube page. Thank you.